We are back for another preseason slate. We got a 4-game main slate, 20K to first up top here on Saturday. We also have a 2-game early slate. I posted all my content already for the early slate on Patreon. Been up since like 6 a.m. grinding this stuff. So basically how my day has gone so far. We got the underdog board, went through all that, posted my picks. I have like 10 or so picks. Yesterday had an absolutely phenomenal day player prop wise. Went 12-3 on underdog and honestly got a little bit unlucky with a couple of these misses. I would take these unders on the Cleveland quarterbacks again in a heartbeat. We just got a little bit unlucky with the game flow. Both have rushing upside in Dobbs and DTR. They're not really known for passing. We just got unlucky with the game script. Dobbs got in the 2-minute drill there at the end of the half, led the team down on a drive to go over, and then DTR just like didn't miss on his passes in the limited action that he played. So those two, I honestly think we got a little bit unlucky on. Godwin, they just like basically just played him the entire game, which was not expected, so whatever. But yeah, other plays, again, 12-3. Massive profitable day. Again, I already posted my props, so woke up, went through all the props underdog, posted those. Went through all the props and prize picks, posted those. I went through all the depth charts for the other teams, posted those on Patreon. I went through and posted my player pool for the early slate. That's on Patreon. Now I started looking at the main slate. Got to get this video up for YouTube. Then after this, I got to go back to underdog and prize picks. Look through all those props, post those on Patreon. Got to post the depth charts for the main slate. That'll be up. Then I got to post the player pool. That will go up on Patreon for the main slate. Then I got to make my video for the main slate. That'll go up on Patreon. Roster construction. Then I got to stream. Then I got to go back and do the showdown content, right? So it's a grind. I love it, but man, it is just nonstop stuff. So great day yesterday over there for player props. And can we just talk about this, man? I'm not going to harp on it. I don't really have the energy to tilt. I need to go like chug a coffee after this to get more energy, but let's just talk about this, man. I had Tyler Goodson, relatively low owned on the main slate yesterday. How about an injury? You bet, right? And you think that's all? You think one injury is all that I had? No way. How about another one? Mohamed Ibrahim, he's heading right to the locker room early. It is incredible how bad I run, right? It is absolutely incredible all the BS that I deal with, and I still profit, right? In the Summer League, I had almost 20 injuries. 20 injuries in less than 2 weeks, and I made about 5,000 profit. In the preseason, like, I've just run awful. How about 2 injuries yesterday, right? 2 injuries. It is insane how bad I run. Absolutely insane. Obviously, you guys know there's not one human on this planet that runs worse than me. It is not possible. I showed you that snake draft the other day, right? Someone beat me with Justin Jefferson or Ramondre Stevenson. It is incredible, man. Absolutely incredible, but not going to harp on that too much. It's been a great preseason. It's been a profitable preseason for me so far, even with the horrific, absolutely horrific, and I mean horrific luck so far. And that better turn around. If it doesn't, you're going to see me tilt even more on these videos. All right. Let's go through each of these teams here for the main slate. We're just going to team by team. And, really quick, if you guys are looking for that content, all that stuff that I just went over, player prop stuff, player pool, depth charts, live stream, like this, so much stuff over on Patreon, link down below. Prize Picks, they sponsor the video. If you guys are not on Prize Picks, you can use the code DKDFS for 100% match up to $100. I already posted my Prize Picks props for the early games. Going to get some more stuff up there for the main slate when they do add more props there. All right, enough talking now. Let's talk about the first game. And if you guys do enjoy, make sure to like this video. Let's try to aim for 100 likes on this video. Would greatly appreciate that. Been getting a lot of support. So really do appreciate you guys. You guys know I'm a little bit crazy. Like, I'm just a little bit crazy, right? Appreciate you guys for watching as always. And let's just talk about it. All right, so Jets, Panthers is the first game here. So for the Jets, let me bring up my notes again. I got like 100 tabs open on their screen. Literally 100. That's not an over-exaggeration. But, okay, so what we know over here for the Jets, no Aaron Rodgers. Chris Starfler got injured. He's out. So it's only 2 quarterbacks. It's Zach Wilson. It's Tim Boyle. I think both get a half. That's my expectation right now. And of the two quarterbacks, I do prefer Zach Wilson. Now, doesn't really have a ton of rushing upside here, but if you're going to get a half a play for Zach Wilson, I think he's one of the better quarterback plays in the slate right now. So I do like Zach Wilson a good amount. Now, the running back position. So we basically only saw 3 running backs play last game, right? Zonovan Knight got a DNP. You saw a lot of work for Israel Abanikanda, Crockett, and then Dye. Zonovan Knight may play in this game. Like, we didn't really get any news on that. He just got a DNP. And we know that Breece Hall is still out. As far as Michael Carter goes, I don't think he plays, but maybe he could get 1 series. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on the news. Hopefully we'll get some clarity. Like, for the Lions, we just didn't get any news. I was looking for Jamar Jefferson news. Just never got anything. He just didn't play. I was looking for Craig Reynolds. Like, some of these teams we will, and some of these teams we won't. And for the teams that we don't get news, there obviously is some risk. It's a little bit annoying, again, kind of like Summer League. But if we get similar workloads to last game, then Abanikanda is going to stand out as a really good running back. But if you get Carter getting a series and you get Zonovan Knight actually getting some carries, then this backfield is a bit more loaded than it looks. Bowden's the fullback, so you don't have to worry about that. Wide receivers, I actually do kind of like the Jets wide receivers in this game. So don't expect much from a lot of the starters. So like Wilson, Lazard, McCole Hardman, Corey Davis, Cobb's a vet. I don't think we see a lot of those guys. So if you actually kind of X a lot of these guys out, they're relatively thin. You got Charles Irvin, you got Brownlee, you got Malik Taylor, you got Erickson, you got Cap, Luther, and Gibson. So, well, it's like 7 guys that should play a majority of the game. So those guys all stand out as pretty good options. Again, Brownlee has made a ton of impressions there in camp. Even some of these back-end guys I think look solid. So these Jets wide receivers actually do kind of like. And then as far as tight ends go, I think Zach Kuntz is the guy I'm looking to. Tight ends, once again, just not a great spot for preseason DFS, but Kuntz, the rookie, should get a fair amount of work in this game. So I think he is viable. All right, let's move on to Carolina. So what we know right now for Carolina is that the starters are expected to play. My guess is right now that we probably get 1 to 2 series here for Bryce Young. So I probably can't go there. The notes that I've seen and the stuff that I've seen on Twitter is that Matt Corral is expected to get a lot of work. So he actually stands out to me as a pretty good quarterback play. They said they want to give him a long look, and Corral is a guy that does have some mobility. Played for Ole Miss a few years ago. So I actually do, if I'm going to play a Carolina quarterback, it's going to be Matt Corral. Let's talk about the running back situation here for the Panthers. I'm expecting 4 running backs right now, which is not amazing. It's not great. It's about average. If you have 4 running backs play for preseason team, that's about average. 3 is pretty thin. 5 to 6 is pretty deep. So you got 4 running backs here. I would be lying to you if I said anyone really stood out. You got Hubbard, Blackshear, Brown, people. So they're all fine options. No real strong takes if you land on one of those guys. That's totally fine. For wide receivers, not a ton with the starters expected to play it. Again, I'm thinking about a series or 2. I'm just looking through this depth chart. They have like 12 guys. A couple guys a little bit banged up. Not a ton like that I would really, say that I love. Mingo, maybe you could look to him, their second round rookie. Like, I think he could play a little bit with the starters, maybe with the backup. So I guess if I had to play a wide receiver here, it probably would be him. And then talking through the tight ends here, they got 5 tight ends. Not much here. I mean, I don't know, maybe a little bit interesting. Tommy Tremble, one of those guys that could get a little bit of work with the starters and then some of the backups. But let's move on to the Jags and the Cowboys. Okay, so for the Jags, they got 3 quarterbacks. Starters are expected to play 1 to 2 series. That takes me off all the quarterbacks here for Jacksonville. For the running backs, this is a deep room right now. They have 6 guys. Parrish is a fullback, but still have 6 guys. ETN expected to play with the starters 1 to 2 series. So this is a complete stay away from me right now with ETN, Bigsby, Hasty, Johnson, Connor, Olsen. That's 6 running backs. No thank you. Hint, there are some Jags props on Underdog and Prize Picks for the running backs. That's just a hint. I'm not going to say what I'm doing with it. You have 6 running backs, all 6 expected to play. Take a look at those props. All right, let's talk about wide receivers here for the Jags. Not much here either. Again, starters are expected to play. If I had to play one wide receiver, probably would be Kevin Austin. He's been pointed out as having a really good camp so far. He's kind of in the middle of the depth chart, right? That's kind of the sweet spot a lot of times for the preseason is the middle of the depth chart because they could play a little bit early in the game and then still play some in the back in the game as well. But with starters expected to play, I have a tough time really prioritizing anyone here. For tight ends, not really a ton here either. I mean, if you wanted to play Evan Ingram in a 1-2 series because tight end's weak, like I actually don't hate that idea just because Ingram's not a blocker at all. So when he's out there, he's running routes. So I honestly don't really hate the idea of playing Evan Ingram at tight end because he could go for 2-3 catches in 1-2 series. All right, so for Dallas, this is one of my favorite teams to target right now. Dak Prescott not expected to play, so you should get a half of Cooper Rush, a half of Will Grier. I think both are solid options. I'd probably lean Rush over Grier if I had to pick between the two quarterbacks, but both expected to play a half. Both look good. Running back position. This could be pretty thin here. So you got Tony Pollard not expected to play. Ronald Jones got banged up. He's not expected to play. And Hunter Lupi, or however you pronounce his name, is a fullback. That leaves really 3 running backs on this team. Malik Davis, Deuce Vaughn, and Rico Dowdle. I think all look pretty good. Davis, Vaughn, Dowdle. Davis, I think, is the most talented of these Cowboys backs, but that worries me a little bit because I could see him maybe getting the least work. But I think you could see a lot of run here for rookie Deuce Vaughn and then Rico Dowdle. So I'm pretty high on Dallas. I'm expecting only 3 running backs to play here, and maybe Malik Davis doesn't play a ton. So Vaughn, Dowdle, in my opinion, look pretty good. And then for wide receivers, so starters not expected to play. So the guys I would group into the starters would be Lamb, Cooks, and Michael Gallup. So I don't think we see those guys. And then, I mean, they still have a fair amount of guys in this depth chart, but Semi Fioco, Jalen Tolbert, right? Those are guys that we played a lot last year. I think those are solid options. They should start the game and maybe play, at least a quarter, maybe close to a half. Rookie Dontario Drummond on this team. You got Kevontae Turpin, who they said they want to play a little bit more at the wide receiver position. He was kind of just a return specialist last year. Maybe he gets worked in a little bit. I like the running backs a lot more than I do the wide receivers, just because the wide receiver room is still pretty deep, even the starters not expected to play. But there are some interesting options there. And then tight end position, so not a ton that I love. I mean, you got Ferguson as the tight end 1. Luke Schumacher, the rookie, is not expected to play. I mean, maybe Peyton Hendershot becomes a little bit interesting. Let's move on to Philly and Baltimore. So Philadelphia, I'd be pretty surprised, to be honest, if the starters play. If they do, I would say maybe a series. Even so, they have 4 quarterbacks if Hurts plays, 3 if he doesn't. No thank you there. Running back position, I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen for the running back position for the regular season, so I have a really hard time trying to decipher this for the preseason. They have 6 running backs. Their depth chart, I think they listed like 4 or 5 guys or as starters. So I don't know what's going to happen. If I had to guess, I would say the guys that get the most work would probably be the back end guys, Sermon and then Kennedy Brooks. But yeah, uncertainty on what's going to happen here in the regular season. The reports are that Gainwell's looking good and might be the starter, but this is a tough room to decipher. Maybe we'll get some of these guys inactive and then it'll look better. But right now, it's kind of a stay away. Wide receivers for the Eagles. Again, if the starters play, I think it's a series. So I'm probably not looking to those guys. There are a couple guys that are banged up. Rambo's out. Deion Kane did not practice last game. So if the starters don't play, this could be a relatively shorthanded receiving room. Joseph Nagata is a guy I wanted to point out. Probably my favorite option. He's been making some impressions. Rookie wide receiver there. I think he looks pretty good. You got Olamide Zaccheaus. You got Tyree Cleveland. Britton Covey is a guy more of a special teams guy, but I think we'll get some snaps at wide receiver here. More of a slot guy. I think he's interesting. So this wide receiver room actually is a little bit thin, especially if these starters do not play, which I don't think they're going to play much, if at all. And then tight ends, they have 6 guys. Not a ton here. If I had to pick one, probably would be Dan Arnold, just because he's a solid pass catcher. But Now let's move on to Baltimore. So Baltimore, what? They've won like 20 straight preseason games. It's insane, their run. They have 4 quarterback starters not expected to play. But even with Lamar sitting, that's three quarterbacks. I have a hard time going to anyone here. Unless we get like news or something that like one guy's going to play a lot. Running back a little bit tricky. Dobbins, I don't think plays. Now, do we see like Gus Edwards and Justice Hill? Right, those are guys that they played a good chunk in the regular season. So I don't know if we see a ton of those guys. MG3's a vet. Like, how much do we see from him? So that could leave guys like Keaton Mitchell, Owen Wright, kind of those back end guys getting a fair amount of work. Richard and Mason are fullbacks. So we don't have to worry about them. So we'll keep an eye on the news here. But if we get news that maybe like Edwards and Hill are inactive, then we can be looking at a lot of guys like, again, Keaton Mitchell and Owen Wright there on the back end of the depth chart. Wide receivers, so again, starters not expected to play. My group of the starters probably would be OBJ, Bateman, and Nelson Aguilar. Zay Flowers could be in that group as well. So we'll keep an eye on the news. But yeah, they still have a fair amount of wide receivers here. I would say if I'm going to play wide receivers, would probably be those guys kind of in the middle of the depth chart. So, guys like Laquan Treadwell, James Prochet, Shamar Bridges, Tylan Wallace. Those are guys I would probably look to if I had to play one of these Ravens wide receivers. And then tight end actually is pretty thin here. Okay, so you got Mark Andrews not expected to play. Isaiah Likely, how much are we going to see from him, right? I don't think a ton. So Charlie Kohler is probably a guy to me at least that stands out as a pretty good option. I think he's like a second or third year guy. He's a solid receiver, whereas this Travis guy is more of a blocker. So Andrews not expected to play. Don't know how much we'll see from Likely. We'll see. If we get news that Likely's going to play a fair amount, then Likely's a guy I really like. But if not, then we can look to guy Charlie Kohler. So Ravens probably the most thin at tight end of any of these teams on the main slate. Final game here, we got Chargers and Rams. So these are two teams that I've been playing a ton of in the preseason. It's a little bit different. Like neither team is as shorthanded as they have been in the past. Starters not expected to play for the Chargers. So we're not going to see Herbert. So that means Easton Stick and Max Duggan. Now, I would be pretty high on Max Duggan, but they did say that Easton Stick's going to play, quote unquote, a healthy amount. So could that mean more than a half? I think it's possible. So it's a tough one here. If we get news for sure that Duggan is going to play a half, then I like him quite a bit because he's mobile. But if we get news that, or if we know for sure that Stick's playing over a half, then I don't like Duggan as much. So maybe we'll get some clarity. We might not. This is the standalone late game, which again makes it tricky. Running backs, we're not going to see Austin Eckler. Now they said that preseason is going to be important for determining the number 2 running back role, and that's between right now Spiller and Kelly. So I would assume those guys get a fair amount of work, the running back position, Kelly and Spiller. And then, behind them, you have Roundtree and Dotson. For wide receivers, Williams, Keenan Allen, I would be shocked if they play. I don't know about Quentin Johnson, right there, rookie. Is he grouped into the starters? I don't know. So that one's a little bit tricky. A couple other guys that we'll keep an eye on for news. Palmer, Hightower, Shepard, all been a little bit banged up. So we could have a relatively shorthanded wide receiving group. And again, if I'm going to target some of these guys, it's going to be a lot of those guys on the middle of the depth chart, like Keelan Doss, Darius Davis, maybe Terrell Bynum. But yeah, Quentin Johnston's one where I don't know if he's going to be grouped in with those starters or not. So that is a little bit tricky. We'll see. For tight ends, so I would assume that probably Everett is grouped with the starters and Darnell Parham. So that leaves 4 tight ends. Maybe Hunter Kampmauer, Trey McKitty could be a little bit interesting there. And then finally the Rams, a team that I have just been slamming in the preseason for the last couple of years, but might be a little bit different. McVay did say that it'll be a little bit different than years past and that some of these starters might play a little bit more than usual. Because like last few preseasons, the Rams basically played 1 to 2 quarterbacks, 2 to 3 running backs, and like 4 wide receivers. And you just like stack them up every slate. Well, looks a little bit different. I would be shocked if Stafford plays, but it still leaves 3 quarterbacks here for the Rams. So I'm going to pass there. For running backs, You got 5 guys in the depth chart. Cam Akers, I don't think plays. Sully's 4, which makes it kind of just like an okay room to target, but nothing I love. Williams, Evans, Freeman, Rivers, all fine options. For wide receivers, again, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, Skoranek, I don't think they play much, if at all. Tutu Atwell, another guy that, like, is he too good now for the preseason? I don't know. They did say, again, some of these main guys might play a little bit more, but Tutu, kind of in that group, I'm like, I don't know. One guy that I do, a couple guys I do like, Puka Nacua, their rookie. He's been making some good plays in camp. Lance McCutcheon, preseason GOAT last year. I think he gets a healthy amount of work. You got Austin Trammell, Tyler Johnson. These are guys I think are solid options, especially those top-end guys who do not play. So Rams, not the same team as years past for preseason, but still a team that I do have some interest in. And then tight ends, they have a fair amount of guys. I don't think we see Higbee. Hunter Long is out. Bryson Hopkins, I think, is fine. Again, he was a converted wide receiver. I think he's a little bit interesting. But yeah, that's it for the Rams. And that's going to wrap it up for the video as well. So, as always, guys, I really do appreciate the support you guys watching. Again, we've been getting an insane amount of support recently. If you guys do enjoy, make sure to like. Let's try to aim for 100 likes on this video. If you want that more in-depth content for everything, all of the slates, early, main, showdown, ton of content. Again, after this video, I'm not kidding. I'm going to go chug a cup of coffee. And I'm going to get right back to it. So, appreciate it, guys. We'll see you all in the next video. And good luck on this slate.